study today ethnomethodology. Literally means study of methods, logos, study, method, ethno, people. Study of methods used by people, employed by people. So ethnomethodology, its philosophical, theoretical assumptions are same as that of phenomenology. They both take society as a fiction, social order as a fiction, and they anchor the investigation in the subject, in the subjectivity, in the experience. For example, if we can say that if the theme said, for example, that society is sui generis, society is out there, and if uh, Weber says that society is basically social action, and if Marx says that society is basically social conflict, and if interactionist perspective says that society is basically social interaction, they would say that society is an experience. Society is a matrix. If you have watched the Matrix movie, so society is a matrix, and it's uh, we practically do our tasks, and in doing it unconsciously create a thing which we just name it or label it as society, and then we feel that it is real. So we are real, our experiences. So how we make a sense of an ordered life, it's our own. We use many methods unconsciously, basically. So those unconscious methods, those methods through which we feel that there is an order or there is a society, those methods should be studied according to ethnomethodology. Phenomenology is more of a theory, and ethnomethodology's focus is more on research. So and they have done many experiments, conversational analysis, and many breaching experiments. Garfinkel, who was the main sociologist associated with ethnomethodology, so he encouraged his students to make such experiments. You can read about those experiments in the reading literature about ethnomethodology. So the main point in ethnomethodology is to, understand how people make sense of order, or what methods people use to make sense of society. So the study of those methods. So particularly, they have uh, understood that there are two particular methods which people use. One is called documentary method, and the other is indexicality. In your book, you can find it. The documentary method simply means that people sometimes pick particular features of something, and then they say that there is an underlying pattern on the basis of those features, and then they reverse this. They take some patterns, and then they apply it to the particular instances. So this is reflexive sociology. Reflect in a reflexive way. They so underlying patterns and the instances of those patterns. So they take instances and justify patterns, and they take pattern and apply it on particular instances. So in this way, they are able to create an order. We will see in an experiment how it was done, how it is done by people. And then indexicality. Indexicality simply means that the context, we define things and we give them a particular meaning when we have a context in our mind. For example, if I write, just look at this conversation between X and Y. X says that I have a brother, and Y says no problem. Then X says I have a dog, and Y says, oh, I'm sorry. Now, just look at this conversation. What can be the meaning of this conversation? So, if I tell you that X is a tenant, and Y is the landowner, and he is hiring his house, he's giving it on rent. So, X is he wants to take that house on rent, and he says that he has a brother, and the owner has no objection. But if he has a dog, he has an objection. So, if this context is there, we can understand the meaning, or we can give it a meaning. This context is always in human mind. So that's why he gives meaning to things using that context. So this is the main point, that we interpret things when we have a context. Same thing, same conversation can be interpreted in a different way if we have some different context in our mind. So context is the main, you can say, way through which human mind works. And another breaching experiment they did, for example, that it was done actually in a university, that they sent they say that that a psychologist is coming at the campus, and he would listen to your problems. And therefore the method was that there was a room in which there was psychologist, and students would come in they would sit in the other room, and they would some questions would come on the computer screen, and the students would respond to them by saying only yes or no. Only these two options are there. And then by analyzing the responses of the students, psychologist would give his opinion. So they did it, and students were very satisfied with the results. But later on, they found that actually there was no psychologist in the room. It was just a computer who was randomly generating yes or no. But students were able to give a meaning or an order to the responses while there was no order. So human mind creates order. And why they were doing it? Because there was a context. They knew that there was a psychologist. So if they know that there is a psychologist, actually there was none. So human mind works by giving a context and by imposing an order to a situation. There were other experiments as well. Students went to their homes, and they just behaved as if they are just boarders, and they didn't assume anything. So when, for example, parents asked that have you eaten, they would simply say yes or no. They would not behave in a way in which normal behavior is there. They would just respond in a mechanical way. So parents were disturbed, but then they gave some meaning. Parents later on said, okay, exams are going on, or he has having some frustration with some problem. So parents analyzed that situation. It was later found in the research that they gave a pattern to a situation, they defined it, they gave it a meaning. So this meaning construction and definition of a situation which human mind gives, this has been discovered, and phenomenologists and ethnomethodologists say that we should investigate how human mind creates that order. So I mean, we should, now you should study phenomenology and ethnomethodology, and I can give you further literature if any one of you is interested. Thank you very much.